Greetings to the House. Can we please settle down, members? Greetings to all members who are in the House, distinguished guests who are inside the House up there. Greetings to our members that are in the virtual platform. Today is the 16th of May. We are having a hybrid meeting that will be debating budget debate of vote 14. We will then start with an opening prayer, a silent prayer of meditation for all members, maybe for a few minutes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, honorable members. We are now going to move to the rules of the House. Honorable members, this is a budget debate of the legislature that we are conducting through hybrid means. You're reminded that this budget debate will be conducted in terms of our standing rules. On the issues of connectivity, members, before we proceed with the budget debate, I must reiterate the ruling of the Speaker relating to addressing connectivity problems. The Speaker has ruled that the following measures will be adopted to try and assist members who may not be able to participate due to connectivity issues. If a member has connectivity problems, the presiding officer will continue with other speakers on the speakers list for the debate. If the member regains connectivity before the response of the debate has commenced, the presiding officer will be flexible in applying the speakers list, and the member will be allowed to continue and finalize his or her speech as long as the member reconnects prior to the commencement of the response to the debate. Secondly, we also ask members who are debating to allocate a fellow party member who will be able to take over the member's speech and read the member's speech into the record. Presiding officers will then allow the fellow party member to take over the member's speech. If all else fails and the member is unable to present his or her speech to get another party member or a whip to take over, it will unfortunately not form part of the official recordings of the proceedings. If a member does not have connectivity problems, we will follow the above guidance to try and assist members. I hope that this is in order. Members not debating are reminded at all times to mute their microphones and switch off their cameras. Also, members are requested to take care of any noise in the background that interferes with the broadcast of the proceedings. Honorable members, I further wish to confirm that the budget report of 2022-2023 of the Portfolio Committee of Public Works has been tabled in terms of the standing rules. We will now proceed with the matters on the agenda, being the debate on vote 14. We've got the speakers list in front of us. This debate has about 135 minutes. We will firstly start by the report by the MEC for Human Settlement and Public Works on Public Works budget vote, which is 45 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, Honorable Cele Siyabonga kakhulu. The Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Honorable Fraser, Speaker, Honorable Boyce, Deputy Speaker, Honorable Mthembu, the Chief Whip, Ngamalala, KZN Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Zigalala, members of the Provincial Legislature, members of the Executive Council, mayors and councillors of local government, the Director General and heads of departments, distinguished guests, the people of KwaZulu-Natal who are following us in various media platforms, and the members of the ruling party in the entire province of KwaZulu-Natal, the ANC, members of the media, good morning to you all. Madam Speaker, we note with heavy hearts that we are presenting this budget vote as a province in distress due to fatalities from recent severe weather patterns. As the realities of the climate change hit our own doorsteps and floods having ravaged different parts of our province, our hearts are with families of those who lost their loved ones. Kuyisifiso sethu sihlalo singumnyango wezomsebenzi yomphakathi ukudlulisa amagama enduduzo kuyo yonke imindeni elahlekelwe izihlobo yabangani kanye nomakhelwane. Isikhathi esinzima lesi esiphuma kuso, kodwa sinethemba lokuthi uJehova uzosigcina asinikeze isibindi, agcine nemindeni ayinikeze isibindi. Siyazi imindeni eminingi ihlezi emahholo, ihlotsheni kanye nakubangani. Sibonga uhulumeni kazwelonke oholwa ngumongameli uPresident Cyril Ramaphosa noPremier wesifundazwe saKwaZulu-Natal ubaba uZikalala, ikhabhinethi yakhe kanye nohulumeni wesifundazwe kanye nongqongqoshe bonke ngokungenelela. We thank the President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, his cabinet, our Premier Sihle Zikalala, members of the Executive Council and members of this House for demonstrating leadership during the most painful period in the history of this province. Honorable members, we have come here to report to the elected members and elected public representatives and the people of KwaZulu-Natal that the Department of Public Works is ready to take a lead in the construction of socio-economic infrastructure needed by the people of this province. The big question as we start this budget speech is, what are we going to do for our people? And we must, after this budget, able to answer the next generation when they ask us, what did we do to change the picture and change the situation that we're faced with as the people of this country? Immediately after the disaster, we deployed a roving team of professionals in the built environment to assess, review, and estimate cost of the repair of damage of the infrastructure. We wish to report that the team has assessed and provided cost estimates in 75 facilities for the Department of Transport, Health, and Social Development. Further assessments of 30 facilities for the Department of Arts and Culture are being finalized. Our priorities, honorable members, at this stage, we wish to pause and pay tribute to the pathfinders of this freedom and democracy. We are all gathered here as products of the democracy that we ushered in 28 years ago. We represent the aspirations of more than 11.1 million of the people throughout the corners of this beautiful province of KwaZulu-Natal. As we advance the aspirations, we remember that the ruling party, the African National Congress, remains the vehicle for the transformation of society. It is former President Nelson Mandela who believed that the ANC as a governing party had a responsibility to use all the resources of the state to eradicate poverty. Madiba once remarked, and I quote, "Overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity. It is an act of justice. It is the protection of a fundamental human right, the right to dignity and a decent life," unquote. He further pointed out, and I quote, "The dire poverty of some is not an affliction which impacts only on those who are deprived. It reverberates across the globe and inevitably impacts negatively on the whole of humanity, including those who live in conditions of comfort and plenty," unquote. Madam Speaker, Chairperson, as inspired by the words of Madiba, it is our intention to briefly outline how the people of KwaZulu-Natal stand to benefit from our program of action. As Public Works, we remain committed to work hard and tirelessly to ensure that KZN plays a leading role in the creation of a better future for our country. Our priorities have been packaged to support provincial government departments as they put this province on a new trajectory of socio-economic development. Having been invited by the Eastern Cape Provincial Government to be part of the Transformation of Property Sector Conference through the MEC, Babalo Madigizela, we acknowledge that we need to do more collectively to transform the sector. Later on, we'll reflect on the lessons learned and best practices that we believe will help the two provinces share skills and resources in order to grow our respective economies. Importantly, honorable members, we understand that the growth of our province is a result of the economic activities of not only other provinces, but of various neighboring states and trading friends of South Africa. These are the issues that have informed our priorities. Throughout this term of office, we remain focused on achieving the following priorities, Honorable Speaker. In the interest of time, we'll name but a few. Strengthening the capacity of Public Works as the only implementer of choice for infrastructure development in the province. It's very important, honorable members, that we just you don't just be called an implementer of choice without us practicing it. We want to live up to the name and up to the aspirations of KwaZulu-Natal and make sure that we remain the only implementer of choice for this government. Reducing rentals through the construction of state-owned infrastructure and maximum use of existing state facilities, improving audit outcomes, improving the maintenance of state buildings, accelerating the transformation of property sector in KZN, negotiating and reduction of property rates on the state-owned properties in eThekwini Metro, restructuring the department to be service delivery focused, re-engineering and producing a new service delivery model. Honorable members, want to strengthen internal control, working with Provincial Treasury, effective coordination of EPWP to ensure skills development and acquisition of required practical skills in order to accelerate socio-economic development, building internal capacity, artisan skills development through our own workshops in eThekwini Metro, in the outer years, moving into Mzinyathi and Umgungundlovu district. Building the provincial precinct in collaboration with other departments, including the Office of the Premier and the Legislature. Honorable members, in drafting this budget vote, we took into consideration the government's focus on reconfiguring the structure of the economy of the province post-COVID-19 period. We're also rebuilding the social infrastructure damaged by the recent floods. We have internalized that the fact the provincial government has redefined centers of growth and corridors of development as outlined by the Premier in his State of the Province address. We are directed to focus on entrepreneurship development, which is vitally important to the economic and social development of this province as we rebuild this province. We understand as Public Works that through innovation, entrepreneurs create new competitive markets and business which lead to job creation and multiplying effect on the economy. The question is, what are we planning to do to stimulate the socio-economic development and drive entrepreneurship in the province? Madam Speaker, the prioritized budget for 2022-23 financial year is 1.942.9297 billion rands. So it's just above 1.9 billion rand. This figure will remain meaningless if it fails to touch the lives of ordinary members of society who are subjected to the conditions of squalor every day, and it can't continue. We refuse to be part of the continuity of poverty in this province and the country. As a matter of fact, we must reiterate our position that while a generation born to defend the gains of political freedom, the decisive way of defending this political freedom is to end the vicious cycle of poverty. We'll never abdicate this responsibility bestowed on us by those who voted for the ANC into power as the ruling party, and that must be accepted. We have stated in many platforms that as this current generation, history will judge us harshly if we turn a blind eye to the grinding poverty that affects blacks, who are the majority of the people in this country. Blacks remain the ones who are affected by poverty in this country, and it hasn't changed. And we must change that picture. And we must never fear to tell things as they are, because poverty in this country remains black. The face of poverty remains black. People who are beggars in the street in majority are black. People who are having challenges when you've got floods and their houses will collapse are black. People who will suffer during any disaster are black. So it means we must defend the gains of this democracy and make sure that we advance progress to the black community of this country. We have stated in many platforms that as this current generation, history will judge us harshly if we turn a blind eye, as I've said. Our grandparents were impoverished, humiliated, and had no ability to create wealth for their children. So mlomo, sihlalo ngihlale ngithi akufanele abazali bethu bazalele enhluphekweni, bakhulele enhluphekweni, bafele enhluphekweni. Nathi sizalele enhluphekweni, sikhulele enhluphekweni, nezingane sifele enhluphekweni, nezingane zethu zizalele enhluphekweni, ifele enhluphekweni, kanti sikhonelani thina? Okwethu kuletha ushintsho inhlupheko iphele. Somlomo, sihlalo, compatriots, were inspired by the leaders produced by the glorious movement to make a difference. Our hope for a better future is provided by the triumph of the most scorned, oppressed, and downtrodden, who challenged the most sophisticated and feared regime in the whole continent of Africa, and they won. So how can we not win this battle of defeating poverty while we're in charge of the state? We are determined to win, Chairperson. Failure is not an option, and will never fail. Our determination is to ensure that the people of KwaZulu-Natal are liberated from the yoke of economic oppression, irrespective of their political affiliation. We'll never politic ngepoverty yabantu bakithi. Ngeke siyisebenzise ipolitiki uma kuze enhluphekweni yabantu bakithi. Bonke abantu bakithi okufanele basizakale bayolithola usizo ngoba asikwazi ukupolitika ngenhlupheko ngoba inhlupheko ayinapolitiki iyafana kuona wonke umuntu. Want the people of this province to feel the impact of the 3 billion we are projected to spend on behalf of the provincial government departments while responding to sluggish economic growth, which has had a wide-ranging knock-off effects in our province. One of the most severe impacts has been on the ability of the provincial economy to not only sustain and retain existing jobs in the province, but also to grow the job markets and reduce unemployment. Importantly, by rolling out infrastructure on behalf of the government departments, we're effectively implementing the National Development Plan. The plan identifies specific steps that needs to be taken to promote the values and principles of the public administration contained in the Constitution. One, to build an efficient, effective, and development-oriented public service as part of capable and developmental states. The NDP highlights the need for a well-run and effectively coordinated state institution with skilled officials who are committed to the public good, capable of delivering consistently high-quality services while prioritizing the nation's developmental objectives. This is what we are committed to do with this budget. During the budget formulation processes, we considered the following, Honorable Chairperson: carry through cost of wage adjustment in line with the provincial treasury guidelines. All inflation-related increases are based on CPI projections. Reprioritization and adherence to cost-cutting measures as issued by provincial treasury. The capital budget is based on the department's infrastructure plan. Let's go to programs now. We'll start with program 1, the administration, which is budgeted at 441.092 million rand, which is 441 million rands, which is 22.7% of the budget. The main objectives of this program are to provide strategic leadership and overall management, other areas of responsibilities, including supporting the executive authority, building a positive corporate culture, and rendering support and advice in terms of human resources and legal matters. Communications, effective effective use of digital infrastructure, ICT, are other key focuses areas under this program. The program also ensures monitoring and evaluation M&E systems are in place and render sound financial management services, risk management, and supply chain management. The program's budget is distributed as follows. Compensation of employees, as you can see. Goods and services, as you can see. Transfers and subsidies, machinery, equipment, software, intangible assets. You will see that the 441 million we're talking about, it's well distributed amongst all these. Strengthening of service delivery and good governance. Madam Speaker, Chairperson, the past financial year, we worked hard as a team to build a solid program of service delivery through integration of programs and services. We have maintained a strong sense of accountability of senior management and at head office and across the districts. The monitoring and evaluation of performance has greatly assisted the processes of ensuring solid service delivery. Importantly, last year, we committed ourselves publicly to build an image of clean governance, inspired by our determination to ensure speed and efficiency, which is our hallmark. We commit to build on the solid foundation we have laid by filling vacant posts as a way of strengthening service delivery. In the 2021-22 financial year, 29 posts were filled, of which 14 were in the professional disciplines. In 2022-23, as at 30 April 2022, 11 posts have been filled. The current human resource provisioning plan reflects 42 vacant posts still to be filled, with a great progress being made to fill all of them. We are moving forward, and nothing will really hinder us in trying to make sure that capacity in the Department of Public Works is optimal and is at 100%, so we can deliver with speed. We commit to ensure that the issue of head of department is finalized in the department. We'll also finalize the recruitment processes of the CFO and the head of infrastructure. Having said that, we appreciate the energy and vibrance injected into our work by the young team of professionals, Chairperson, a young team of professionals. It's a team of professionals led by the MEC, who's just 45 and below. All of them are below 45. Whether you talk about the HOD and the CFO, they are all a younger generation, and they are fearless in making sure that we do change the picture, and we take very radical decisions in making sure that we progress as the Department of Public Works, but also making sure that infrastructure is delivered on time, and we change the picture. This team has done exceedingly well. On clean government matters, we undertake to continue to work with Provincial Treasury to do a thorough review of all government contracts, tracking performance, determining value for money, and preventing irregularities. We frown on irregularities. We continue to ensure consequence management by dealing with cases of fraud associated with procurement processes. Chairperson, we wish to report that there are 12 forensic cases which are in progress, and 4 cases were finalized. We can also report satisfactory progress with the implementation of recommendations. In addition, the department has 12 cases of irregular expenditures. Of these 12 cases, 6 cases have been finalized, and where consequence management was recommended, this has been implemented. 3 cases are currently under investigations. 3 cases are awaiting investigation. And we are going to move with speed, because we always say justice delayed is justice denied. And we'll make sure that we deal with anything that has a tendency of irregularity within the department. Further to the above, a team has been established to deal with outstanding cases, including irregular expenditure reported on leases. Importantly, we are working with Provincial Treasury and Office of the Premier to ensure integrity now in the workplace. We want our workers to serve our people with dignity and honor, and refrain from using their positions for self-interest and manipulation of tender and procurement processes. We are very, very determined on this, Chairperson. We must raise it here. It's one issue that we want to eradicate in the department, because we are not just a department that must be known of facilitating tenders. We are a bigger department than that. On skills development, the skills development of young people is fundamental to the growth trajectory that we have set ourselves as the province. Only massive production of appropriate skills and ensuring the access of apprenticeship or supervised training is the way to go. The department has 4 capacity building programs in place to empower the youth and assist them in finding sustainable employment. Internship program, bursary program, the work integrated learning program, also the schools program. Our professionals in the built environment are providing mentorship to students in a range of fields such as electrical, mechanical, and structural engineering, quantity surveying, architecture, property valuation, and construction project management. You can see it's technical, Chairperson. It's technical, very technical. We are spending approximately more than 24.7 million on bursaries and stipend for interns. To date, there are more than 57 young people that have registered as fully fledged professionals. And thanks to this department, that has given them an opportunity. Through our skills development program, we are proud of the fact that we have many young professionals such as Mr. Smiso Matonzi, Mr. Pepelo, Mhlongo, and many more others who are fully fledged professionals today. The only sad part is that we are seriously dealing with the hemorrhage of talent and skills that we spend our resources as public works nurturing. Provinces, the private sector, and other sister departments have identified public works as a breeding ground for talent, and they take our talent from us. But we are happy that we are giving this country capable professionals to provide a good quality skills and making sure that we provide quality infrastructure in the entire province and the country. In addition, we remain firm behind our program of ensuring that as public works, we play a critical role in strengthening our education system. We want the education system to create and supply of quality science and technology human resources from the school system for the provincial and national economy. We are cognizant of the fact that a modern economy demands human resources that are numerically and scientifically literate, technology fluent, and skilled at problem solving. In this regard, Chairperson will continue to offer bursaries to grade 11 learners in various high schools across the province, especially in rural areas. A rural child must know that the government of the ANC is there for them, and we are changing lives for our rural children and rural learners. On 30-day payment of service providers, the big elephant in the room, the issue of delays in the payment of service rendered will never escape our attention. Chairperson, I must say this. We have worked hard to try and change the face, but we haven't arrived where we want to be. There's been a great deal of improvement when it comes to the payment of service providers during the past financial year, but we haven't arrived where we want to be. But there are many factors that are contributing to that. But we are seized with this issue. We want to pay service providers on time. This is an issue which was raised sharply in the SONA, with the president emphasizing that it is in contravention of the PFMA not to pay service providers on time. The department continues to face pressures relating to the payment of service providers within 30 days. It must be noted that further to processing our own expenditure, the department processes expenditure relating to client departments and thereafter claims from client departments through the interdepartmental account processes. The total amount due from client departments, Chairperson, as we stand, amounted to 594 million rand at the end of March 2022. And this is the money that we're supposed to be paying service providers with. But we are working on it. The main challenge with regards to cash flow is attributable to delays in settlements of claims by some sister departments. With the department has seen some improvement in the settlements of claims with most client departments. They are still taking longer than 60 days to settle, which exacerbate the cash flow challenges. Service providers have also indicated discontent with the department's failure to timelessly settle their invoice. Chairperson, I must say that I've said to the team that we need to work like municipalities, like a pay-as-you-go system, where if you don't pay for electricity, it will be cut off. If you don't pay for water, it will be cut off. If the department doesn't settle its account with the public works, we're not going to continue with your project up until you settle your bills. Otherwise, we end up doing things that we're not supposed to do. So it's how we're going to be working, because we must change and take responsibilities, all of us. And that's what delays projects. Projects get to be delayed, and public works is seen as a department that is not efficient, not because of inefficiencies, but because if there is no money to pay service providers, projects will delay. So it needs all of us to collaborate and work together. But we are working on it with sister departments. There is quite a great deal of improvement, working with the Premier, working with Treasury. There is work that is being done. Impact on Concord judgment. The suspension of all procurement processes from 16 February 2022 hampered service delivery to client departments. This resulted in the advertisement of tenders and bidding processes being put in abeyance, thus affecting the rollout of infrastructure and procurement of goods and services. However, exemption approval was received on 19 April 2022 to proceed with all the procurement. The department has embarked on the following to comply with legislation, improve procurement processes, as you can see there. We continue to ensure speed around procurement processes as part of efforts to strengthen service delivery. Key to the supply chain management processes is the transformation of various sectors of the economy, including the build sector industry. We remain determined to fast-track the entry of entrepreneurs from previously disadvantaged communities into the entire value chain of the built industry. In this regard, we continue to receive guidance from the Provincial Treasury as the custodian of procurement. On Program 2, which is property management, very important, which takes about 55% of our budget. At more than R1 billion, just less than 1.1 billion rand. The purpose of this program is to provide and facilitate the provision of accommodation and integrated property management service to clients. We do this through planned property life cycle acquisition management, maintenance and disposal, optimal utilization of immovable assets, land valuation, maintenance of the immovable assets register, payment of property rates, and integrated service delivery. The program's budget is disaggregated as follows. You will see that compensation of employees is at 65 million. Goods and services is at 68.8 million. Then the big one, transfers and subsidies, at just less than R1 billion, at 936 million rands. Machinery and equipment, you will see. On this one, Chairperson, having participated in the property transformation sector in the Eastern Cape under the leadership of Premier Oscar Mabuyane, we remain determined to transform this sector. Significant numbers of the South Africans have never in the history of their families experienced formal property ownership and its wealth creation benefit. Black South Africans still remain under siege when it comes to property ownership up until today. This has had fundamental impact on the economic potential of South Africa and Black people in particular. We are not racist, but we are being factual. Despite legislative and policy interventions to eradicate these inequalities, in practice, skewed patterns of ownership, participation, and benefit remains, and we are determined to change it. Black people continue to be significantly represented in ownership of Black people continue to be significantly underrepresented in the ownership of property, in particular, Africans in particular. Whilst administrative, legal, and financial constraints restrict the ability of Black people to participate in the property market, during the Property Sector Transformation Conference, delegates debated and agreed on the need to repurpose government facilities as generation of revenue for government and creation of sustainable job of opportunities of the previously disadvantaged communities. One big question, Chairperson, I always say we must ask ourselves, what kind of public works we want to have? What becomes the future of public works? Are we happy with the public works we are having and the approach public works is having currently? And the answer is that we want to re-engineer and change public works to do more, generate revenue for the state, bring investors for the state, create jobs. We don't want just to be a department that facilitates tenders. We can't be facilitating tenders only and deal with properties and it ends there. We must be bigger than that. So we are moving towards that direction. As part of ensuring that those who were previously disadvantaged benefit, We have established a dedicated property transformation task team to drive this process. Members of the task team are drawn from the government departments such as the Office of the Premier, Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs, as well as Provincial Treasury. We have mandated the head of department to ensure the representation of other stakeholders such as non-governmental organizations, civil society, youth formations, people living with disability, SMMEs, cooperatives, community property associations, industry bodies, and the private sector at large. We are planning ongoing consultation with all spheres of government, national and municipalities, because we want a clear development trajectory for taking our province to a better future. Our message to the task team is based on the principle of one strategy and plan for all. Honorable members, by and large, the office accommodation space we require as government presents an opportunity to drive transformation of the sector. To unlock these opportunities, we need the support of the honorable members as lawmakers. This we are going to table to this House moving forward as we go through via the Portfolio Committee, because we need the support of this House to change the laws pertaining to the issue of transformation on property and accommodation space for the government. We need to debate applicable legislation such as PFMA and National Treasury regulations, because some we feel they are not giving us that direction and the advantage that we need to give those who are previously disadvantaged. We also wish to announce that we are dealing with rampant and deliberate lodging of appeals by unsuccessful bidders. In some instances, some appeals are lodged to frustrate the transformation process. This has become prevalent in Pietermaritzburg. We have those who believe that those opportunities must be given only to them. They go to Provincial Treasury to lodge appeals because they believe that it's them, only them, who must access these opportunities. And it can't continue. It shouldn't continue. Chairperson, at this stage, we wish to turn our focus to the stabilization and payment of property rates to municipalities. The department continues to manage the payment of property rates to the municipalities with the limited budget that is available. It is with this appreciation that the Provincial Treasury, despite the limited provincial fiscals, managed to provide an additional budget of 350 million rands for the past year. This assisted a great deal in the payment to the municipalities. Let me also appreciate the 50% discount for property rates on schools by eThekwini municipality. This is very progressive. We wish all municipalities can follow suit. This resulted in a saving of about 123 million rands on property rates budgeted for 2021-2022 financial year, which helped the department in offsetting the deficit with other municipalities. But we just ask other municipalities to follow suit as the eThekwini municipality has done. The annual budget allocation for property rates remain insufficient. The trend over the past several years is that there is always a shortfall. Regrettably, this is not an occurrence that can be solved by the best financial planning, as property rates are dependent on individual municipalities, affecting increases in line with the municipal rates policies. However, the issue is being resolved through a variety of intergovernmental interventions, and the intention is to ensure that the issue is going forward. Chairperson, we want to make sure that the maintenance of state-owned buildings does take place, and we are going to be doing that. Chairperson, program 3.
Honorable MEC, just a second. Can we stop the watch? Can we request members who are on virtual platform to mute? They are disturbing the House. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. On program 3, honorable members, provision of building structures and equipment. Honorable members, under this program, we are focusing on reducing rentals through the construction of state-owned infrastructure and maximum use of existing state facilities. The program's budget is disintegrated as follows. You can see it's at 22.18%, and it's 430 million rands. It's just about 431 million rands. You will see how the money has been disaggregated there. This includes the EPWP integrated grant for provinces of 8 million rands. On infrastructure delivery, last year we presented a clear plan on infrastructure revolution across the province. We wish to report that the department has completed 390 capital projects across all districts at a combined cost of 1.1 billion rands. In addition, Chairperson, as part of ensuring sufficient provision of energy in response to load shedding, the department commissioned 173 out of 207 generators in various public health institutions. We also supplied the Department of Transport Road Traffic Inspectorate. In our quest to position the department as the implementer of choice, we wish to report that we completed the following projects for the Department of Education: drought boreholes program, 151 projects of boreholes, electrification of 4 schools, storm damaged schools, 23 projects, water and sanitation, 100 projects. In addition, we completed the following facilities in 2021, the 21-22, the construction of new schools, talking about completed, not to be completed. Construction of new schools, 2 schools, Dandi Junior, which was completed on time. Literally on time, with speed and efficiency. And I've said we need to use exactly that approach that we use dealing with Dandi Junior in all our projects, because the issue of speed is one of the most important one. And the Kwamia school, the schools refurbished at 239, clinics refurbished 122, hospitals refurbished 16, the buildings and facilities refurbished 11. Somlomo, uqinisekisa ukuphepha kwezigodlo zaseNdlunkulu, umnyango wezemisebenzi yomphakathi ukwazile usebenzisana nehhovisi likaNdunankulu nomnyango kaNdunankulu ukubiyela isigodlo eziyisikhombisa esikhathini esiyinyanga ezine, sizibophezele ukuqhubeka nokuvikela isithunzi saseNdlunkulu siholwa uNdunankulu wesifundazwe saKwaZulu-Natal ngoba ingumgogodla wesizwe. Yingakho sesikwazile ukubiyela izigodlo zesilo siqhubeka nokwenza umsebenzi wakhona eNdlunkulu. Critically, a cost of 104 million has been spent in the maintenance of over 479 government facilities in the province. Further to the above department, the department will be completing, this will be completed in the next 5 months. All these projects in the next 5 months will be completed. Kolokolo Primary and Ekucabangeni High School to Department of Education. Umzimkhulu Service Office under Department of Agriculture, Dandi Laundry Equipment, King Edward Upgrade Nursery, Madadeni Upgrade of Streamline, Marcourt Hospitals, Snigi Temba in Admin Building, Farmers at Catherine Booth Hospital under the Department of Health. We are moving with speed beyond challenges that we are faced with, but we are delivering infrastructure for this province of KwaZulu-Natal. Chairperson, having said that, we are moving with speed to ensure that we implement infrastructure projects in-house, which will reduce the use of consultants. We have been given a mandate to reduce the usage of consultants, and we are indeed increasing capacity internally to make sure that we do have internal capacity. And if we talk about a developmental state, it must be a state that is capable of having internal capacity and deliver within itself without going to private sector. We are finalizing the setting up of departmental design offices, a center, with appropriate modern equipment and software, meaning our designs are going to be done in-house. We'll be moving, even planning must be done in-house, so that we reduce consultants that are going to be hired by this department and sourced by the department. I must hasten to point out that the department has reprioritized its infrastructure project to implement based on the allocated baseline budget. The funding request that is being prepared for the department covers 22-23 financial year will ensure the completion of certain projects. You will see the projects are mentioned there, but I want to take you through the table below, which is indicative of the infrastructure project award, the tenders that we have awarded. We want to tell you who were awarded to. That's transparency, but we want to talk about transformation as well. Black men, you can see it's about 347 million that has been awarded, which is about 49%. Black women, it's about 257 million, which is about 36%. Indian men, you can see it's about 44 million. Indian women, which is 6%. Indian women is about 45. which is again 6%. Colored men is at 0.01%. Colored women is at 0.02%. White men is about 2%. White women is about 0.04%. Youth is about 22%. People with disabilities about 0.1%. You can see where your money is going. On catalytic projects, and we are very determined to make sure that this doesn't change. We are very determined, and nothing will change us in making sure that blacks are benefiting, but Africans in particular benefiting in majority. But everyone must benefit. We are not racist. Everyone must benefit. On catalytic projects, we want to turn our focus to the issue of catalytic projects. The provincial government has clear vision and targets set for 2025, 2030, and 2035. All of that is supported by a range of catalytic projects. On provincial government precincts, one of the most critical infrastructure projects worth mentioning is the establishment of provincial government precinct. The department is focusing its resources on refining the master plan to accommodate the approximately 5,000 officials as part of sustainable solution. The department is working to ensure that the precinct does not constrain the infrastructure and contribute to the congestion already being experienced. Utilizing the internal resources, the preliminary design, we are utilizing the internal resources, underline that. The preliminary designs concepts for the legislature was presented to Stakov in February 2022. The development for the archives as well and other facilities within the precinct. Working with Provincial Treasury, the department has engaged some financial institutions such as Infrastructure South Africa, Afrexim Bank, and National Treasury to determine the appropriate funding model. Due to provincial fiscal position, the department has identified Build to Operate and Transfer, BOT, as sustainable funding model. On CEDA, we are very much determined in making sure that the Strategic Infrastructure Development Agency of KwaZulu-Natal, as it was previously reported, CEDA, is designed to build state capacity to deliver infrastructure. This is an agency that is going to make sure that we move with speed in making sure that the implementation of infrastructure in the province is done quickly. And we want to make sure that it builds the internal capacity of the state to deliver. Expanded public works program, Chairperson. Last year, we expressed our determination to repurpose the expanded public works program. We remain determined to ensure we shift the mindset and change the practice of using EPWP as a by-the-way employment scheme. We want to have an EPWP program that does have an exit strategy that has got a capacity to transfer skills and develop skills. It's not going to be about picking up of paper and sweeping of roads. It must be an EPWP program that is able to absorb and help even graduates that are unemployed and give new opportunities to our people, which will be part of mass job creation through the expanded public works project that we are going to have. You can see that whilst increasing the set target on the Department of Public Works as the EPWP coordinator will again be ensuring that all public bodies are implementing various exit strategies. You can see these exit strategies, they are listed there. It's quite a number of them. And you can see that we're changing the EPWP to become something that is very special, but that is going to contribute in skills development, skills transfer, but also on employment. On ASCs, we're contractor, Chairperson, having finalized the registration of ASCs, we're contractor, development program, database to CIDP, the department is now firmly ensuring that targeting of specific projects to CIDP 1 to 6 only during 2022-23. We will ensure that work allocated to contractors pre-ACs or contractor development program include fencing, water and sanitation, early childhood development centers, school storm damage maintenance, repairs and renovations of electrification. In repurposing of government facilities, groundbreaking. When we presented our budget vote last year, we committed ourselves to ensure that we hand over some of our underutilized buildings to drive socio-economic development. The department has embarked on a process of identifying underutilized and unutilized facilities and land to be used for revenue collection and job creation. The aim is to purpose is to repurpose the state properties to attract investors, generate revenue, and also creation of sustainable jobs opportunities in the province to contribute in the reduction of unemployment. Once the land facilities have been identified, the following processes would be followed. Preparation of land, including bulk infrastructure, working with municipalities, forge proper partnership to assist historically disadvantaged individuals, tap into oceans economy on state land along the coast. Repurposing of state properties will also reduce payment of property rates burdened to the state and maintenance of budget. This will require extensive engagement and memorandum of agreements with municipalities, especially on bulk infrastructure. Chairperson, the Department of Public Works is in the process of repurposing, re-engineering the mandate to incorporate an element of revenue regeneration through leasing of state properties. We believe state properties that are not used and underutilized can generate revenue for the state, create sustainable job opportunities through commercialization of unutilized state properties, attract investors to develop state properties for economic development and job creation. It is with deep sense of pride that, as promised, we handed over a property worth of 1.4 million to a community organization called Zamani Disabled People's Organization. This is in Esikalini. In conclusion, Chairperson, as we draw towards conclusion, I wish to state that as an executive authority, we commit ourselves to ensure that together with senior management, we build a team of motivated cadres, willing to work very hard together to improve the lives of our people. We extend our hand to work with every person in KwaZulu-Natal who appreciates that government cannot do everything alone, but we must work together to build a sustainable future. We wish to thank the ordinary members of the community and leaders of the society for the support as we pledge to work tirelessly to improve the lives of our people.
Your time is over. I'll give you 2 more minutes for your
Thank you.
From your time
Thank you,
later,
Chair.
the response.
Thank you so much for that gratitude. As we pledge to work tirelessly to improve the lives of our people and build better future, together we undertake to ensure that the struggles of the freedom fighters were not in vain. To the members of this House, we are eternally indebted to you for always giving us support. A special word of gratitude to the Premier Sihle Zikalala, members of the Executive Council, all of them, and their heads of departments for the work they have done planning for the year ahead and their support since we assumed office. The Portfolio Committee of Public Works, under the leadership of Honorable Mbali Fraser, we are grateful to you. I thank the acting HOD, Mr. SP Majola, senior management, and all categories of staff at head office, districts, and regions for the renewed commitments to serve with efficiency and speed. Equally, I want to pay tribute to my organization, the African National Congress, Umbutho Wabantu, for giving us the opportunity to serve the people of KwaZulu-Natal. Akwandele bani. I'm indebted to my wife, Mathabizolo, my kids, my family, extended families, neighbors, and all the people of KwaZulu-Natal, in particular, obviously, to the people of Ngutu. I present the budget for vote 14, about 1.942.297 billion rand for consideration and approval by the honorable members of this House. I thank you, honorable members and the chairperson.
Thank you, MEC. We will proceed to now receive the report by the Chairperson of Public Works, Honorable Fraser, MC Fraser, for 10 minutes. And let me remind members again on the virtual platform to please mute when they get to the platform. They must not disturb the speakers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson of the session. I greet you all. I greet the Premier, the Executive, the Honorable members, our guests in the gallery. Sanbonani. Chairperson, let us welcome the opportunity given to us as the Public Works Portfolio Committee of participating in the 2022-2023 budget speech debate for vote 14. We are noting that by and large, the areas covered, your report covered in your report, Honorable Sotobe, are common to the committee's strategic focus for this period. The committee has considered the Department of Public Works annual performance plan and budget for this year, the 2022-2023. Honorable members, it is my greatest pleasure to report to this House that from the department's commitment to comply with the AOP, the Public Works Portfolio Committee ensures the involvement of the stakeholders in its committee and legislative processes. It is for this reason that the first draft of 2022-23 APP and budget for the Department of Public Works was firstly considered at the public meeting with stakeholders held on the 17th of December 2021 in Ugu District Municipality. The final draft was considered at the meeting held with stakeholders on the 7th of April 2022 at JG Zuma High School. It pleases us to note that the core business functions of the provincial department are in line with the outcome-based strategy, goals and objectives in the 5-year plan of 2019 to 2023 of the Public Works Department. Chairperson, the department presented the 2022-23 budget for consideration. The reprioritized budget allocation for 2022-2023 is 1.9 billion. Program 1 administration allocated 441 million. Program 2 property management allocated 1 billion plus. Program 3 provision of building structures and equipment allocated 440 million. The committee further noted that the provincial department spent approximately 2 billion on behalf of the provincial departments, which is meant to be recovered through the interdepartmental account. Chairperson, amongst other issues, the committee is highly concerned about the conduct of some clients' department that compel Public Works to deviate and contravene legislation in terms of payments of services of service providers within 30 days. According to the AG's report, Public Works reflect as non-compliant due to being owed by clients' department. We are appealing to departments to pay Public Works in time, Honorable Chairperson. The allocation funding for implementing Government Immovable Asset Management Act, which is GIAMA, is not sufficient. The Portfolio Committee has expressed its concerns that due to the budgetary pressures in respect of the payments for municipal property rates in 2022-2023, the compensation of employees comprises of 37% of the department's budget for the 2022-2023 financial year. While the committee noted that the targets for EPWP are set by the national effort by the Provincial Department of Public Works in ensuring progress on EPWP with limited funding to meet prescribed targets is highly commended. The committee would continue to monitor all the departmental activities and operations as they are in line with those of the committee's priorities. The committee was very much encouraged by the high level of workmanship in various I wish to further extend our gratitude to the former CFO, Mr. Redfern, for his contribution. Lastly, to the AG's Office, Treasury, and KZN Legislature support staff. Angazi ukuthi ikomiti lingayini ngaphandle kukaThabi, ngaphandle ko-researcher wethu Dr. ngaphandle kwabo bonke Thembelani nonke. As the committee siya appreciate kakhulu konke enikwenzayo to support us. You are a very wonderful team.
Hayi sufaka kwakho ke Dlala.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu Sihlalo, ngiyafisa ukuthi ngiphinde ngisho ukuthi ikomiti lonke liwamkelile umbiko and ikomiti lonke lijabule kakhulu ngokusebenza komnyango. Ngiyathemba noma sebela phambi kwenu bazokuveza lokho. Ngiyabonga Sihlalo.
Thank you, Honorable Fraser. We will then proceed, members. The next speaker from the African National Congress is Honorable T.S. Mjali for 9 minutes. Members, we did have a bit of load shedding, but we did not lose anything when Honorable Fraser was on the platform. No, we didn't. Over to you, Honorable Mjali. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, the Premier of the Province, Kuzeni, Honorable Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, members of the Executive, honorable members, please receive my warm greetings. Honorable Chair, before I start, allow me to first and foremost send my heartfelt condolences to all the families that have lost their loved ones during the floods as well, which emanates from the storm. May God be with them during these difficult times. We know that it's not easy currently. Some are still looking for their family members, but we hope that in the end they will be found. The recent floods have left our people devastated and in a lot of pains. They do not know what tomorrow holds for them. And if ever they will survive this, be able to get their lives back and stand on their feet again. This has been seen by many of our people who have lost their loved ones and a lot of infrastructure being damaged. However, Honorable Chair, we must tell our people that we are with them, not just by words, but by our actions and through our conduct. Hence, Honorable Chair, we have seen the ANC-led government with its leadership led by the Honorable Premier, Honorable Kuzen, having been all over the province, being with the affected families and ensuring that they provide the necessary support during these difficult times. Beyond that, our government has already developed a recovery plan that seeks to restore the damaged infrastructure. While we note that in some areas it will take a bit of time, Honorable Chief Whip, with an understanding of the vast damage that had occurred, which require a lot of work that needs to be done. But in other areas, such restoration has been done and been attended to, and we must thank the ANC-led government for that. For we shouldn't be with the people only in good times, but even in difficult times, we should be with them. We should go on the ground. We should not imagine what is happening on the ground, but we should speak practically because of us having been there on the ground. Honorable MEC has tabled the speech on the budget speech for the Department of Public Works. Allow me, Honorable Chair, to reflect precisely, agree with you, Honorable MEC, that we fully agree with you that the significant number of South Africans, especially blacks, have never in the history of their families experience formal property ownership and its wealth benefits. Hence, Black people continue to be significantly underrepresented when it comes to ownership of property. The repurposing of government facilities as a generation of revenue must be specifically tailor-made to benefit our people and create sustainable job opportunities. It is on this basis that we fully support your plan, MEC, to establish the Property Transformation Task Team, which will ensure that those who were previously disadvantaged do benefit. In line with the Honorable Chair, the issue of the accommodation and office accommodation in particular, Honorable Sotobe, we are fully behind you as an ANC in advancing transformation agenda towards ensuring that office accommodation space is not left just for certain few elite who dominate this space and refuse to allow transformation. Those people have a tendency of opposing processes just because they were not successful in the process. Therefore, even though there are no grounds, but just because they are deliberately trying to oppose the transformation agenda, they go as far as lodging disputes to Treasury. At times are even prepared to go to court because they do have money. And you must confront them, Honorable MEC, who are behind you, because no one will deter us in our transformation agenda. The important part of this is that it is just few elite, Honorable MEC, who have seen God-given right that it's only them that are appointed to be able to benefit throughout these processes, no one else but them. And we're happy that you have taken a stance and you are directly confronting this tendency, and it must not left unattended. Honorable Chairperson, the budget allocated, especially for the property rates payments, is very limited, not sufficient. As the result, the department over the years have been experiencing a shortfall. It is on this basis that as part of the DDM, we need to have an intergovernmental intervention which must include national, provincial government, and municipalities. This DDM process must ensure that it coordinates better on the interventions that is required by the department. Amongst the challenges that have been observed, which results to shortfalls, but also to the debt that continuously to occur. Some not correct invoices, which some at times not come in time. Obviously understanding that each municipalities, with their right to determine after the evaluation in terms of the rates, they tend not to accept any negotiations that the department has continuously been trying to do in ensuring that at least a certain number of amount of figures is able to be sustained, understanding that the department does not receive or have sufficient money. In order for the Department of Public Works to comfortably ensure the full settlement of all rates debt owed to municipalities in KZN that is paid, the equitable share allocation, at least it requires an increase of between 10 to 12% annually. That being said, honorable members, it becomes important and very critical that in our clear understanding of these rates that needs to be paid and uploading the eThekwini municipalities, the municipality, as the MEC have said, it should be considered, MEC, that probably as part of our engagement, there should be an engagement that seeks to say, how do we engage all our municipalities to have a certain amount of percentage that is taken off from the rates, especially those that, where they are speaking about schools, hospitals, clinics, and so forth and so on. So it does require us to engage properly with this regard. We must commend you, MEC, that having started responding to the issues of disasters, we have seen you crisscrossing the province in trying to respond to quite a lot of challenges. Indeed, one fellow came in here, started to want to blame the African National Congress that probably the storm may have came out of the African National Congress. I then realized that, Chief Whip, if this fellow were to lose his wife, probably will still complain and blame it on the African National Congress. I then accepted that we have far greater problems to educate our people. It is on this basis that, as I conclude, I must inform our people that brick by brick, we are building, street by street, village to village. We will bring services, we will bring service delivery. Though we may at times experience difficulties, moments of doubt and uncertainty, we have both the will and the means to rise above the challenges of the present and pursue a better tomorrow for our people. Let me end with the words of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who said, and I quote, open close, "Countrymen, the task ahead is great indeed, and heavy is the responsibility, and it is a noble and glorious challenge," close quote. With those words, we will be with you street by street, brick by brick. We will build again and rise again as a province. Thank you. Salute.
Thank you. We will now move to Honorable TP Mthethwa of the IFP for 5 minutes. I think she's on the virtual platform.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Colleagues, the IFP notes the 1.9 billion budget allocated for the Department of Public Works in this current financial year. However, a few weeks ago, a great calamity befell our province, causing disastrous and catastrophic loss of life, extensive destruction on infrastructure. The assessment are showing that it will cost billions to fix the damage. After the subsequent declaration of the state of disaster by President Ramaphosa, the IFP calls upon the President, the National Treasurer, and the Public Works to arrange financial resources toward the infrastructure recovery effort to fix infrastructure that was damaged by floods in this province. Honorable Chair, the IFP further acknowledged the allocation of 1.7 billion towards Program 2, responsible for the provision and maintenance of property in the province. We call upon the department to fully let out all unused government properties and vacant land, as mentioned in the APP. Additionally, we reiterate our call to the department to ensure that there is security for public buildings that may not yet be occupied, and that these buildings must eventually be fully utilized to avoid wasteful expenditure. This will ensure that public buildings are not hijacked by those who want to acquire property free of charge, and that they are not vandalized. An example of what I'm saying is when you go to Josine, there are public works owned prefab houses. You find that most of them are occupied by illegal foreign nationals. I'm saying most of them because not all of them. And there is also a tendency around that area now that when you are running short of a place to build, then you make sure that you ban those prefab houses. Few months back, then you start building your own houses. I'm saying that because we really need the government to take care of the properties that are owned by the government. The outsourcing of services, the challenge of outsourcing services on assessment of public properties, because currently I don't think the public works is having people that are responsible for the assessment of the public properties. And then it ends up in time delay timeline target and is disturbing to us as the IFP. When the percentage of the budget that goes to compensation of employees, which indicate to us that the department is a large pool of employees who can conduct majority of work internally. Therefore, we express concern about the department's ability to perform these tasks. But I've heard MEC saying They are now training engineers. They are giving our children bursaries. We want to see this thing to be done within the department. The department should be able to execute these services internally rather than outsourcing, which in turn delay the process. Expenditure on consultant and outsourced services is our biggest concern. We therefore expect the infrastructure agency to be operational by June this year to drive infrastructure projects so that the department remains the implementing agent of choice for all government departments. We are also appealing to all government departments to make sure that they use the Department of Public Works, because the Department of Public Works is able to make the implementing agent accountable rather than the other implementing agents of choice that we have, and they're causing trouble in the Department of Education, Department of Health, and all other departments. We urge the department agency to review its budget in order to fill up the 46 critical posts in this financial year, which is 2022-2023. The IFP supports the 40% target towards the department procurement spend on female suppliers. We call upon all public institutions to rebalance the 40% on female procurement budget towards women businesses if it is serious about closing the gender equality gap.
Thank you, Honorable Tetwa. Thank you. Your 5 minutes is up. Our next speaker from the Democratic Alliance is Honorable Z.M. Mwango for 8 minutes. Siyahamba nje lesikhathi baba ngingakaqali ukudebate.
Cha imask ebambekile kwahle. La ngithi uyangivikela nje.
Uvikelekile baba ngiyabonga.
Ngiyabonga sihlaba. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Chairperson, the DA notes the allocated budget of 1.9 billion and all 3 program structures for the Department of Public Works. Honorable Chairperson, from onset, we must say, we are concerned that this department, as even Honorable MEC was saying, it's an implementer of choice, but it doesn't look like other departments within this government regard KZN Public Works as an implementer of choice. The DA is concerned that some departments who seem to prefer other implementing agencies over Public Works. We believe that Public Works should be the first choice implementing agents, MEC, by all KZN client departments, mainly because there is a committee that plays oversight over and above departmental committees. The Public Works Portfolio Committee, led by our chairperson, is very active in overseeing all projects assigned to Public Works Department. This is without a doubt make more sense as to why all departments should use Public Works if they are serious about accountability and transparency. It's high time that all departments who prefer to use other agencies at least take this House to confidence on their reasons for not using Public Works. They might have valid reasons, but we would not know until they openly share those reasons with us as members of this House. The MEC must be honest also with this House as to whether this department has a capacity or not to accommodate this department. Kuwumbuzo nje lo MEC engifisa umphathiswa as Public Works MEC asicacisele ukuthi ngempela i-department yakhe izokwazi ukusebenzisana nama department nokuthi ingani engafuni ukusebenza ne-Department of Public Works. Considering the events of the last 2 years in our province, the first politically motivated July unrest and the failed insurrection, and more recently devastating floods, leaving massive damage to infrastructure, with more than 240 schools damaged by floods. This department will have a vital role to play in rebuilding parts of our province. This will unfortunately come with additional budget pressure. There is no room for any misuse of funds under this department MEC. I'll quote directly from the Auditor General's report in 2021, the matters raised due to concern of shortfalls in expenditure and consequence management. I quote, effective and appropriate steps were not taken to prevent irregular expenditure amounting to 430 million as disclosed in Note 31 to annual financial statements as required by Section 38 of PFMA and Treasurer Regulation 9.1.1. I was unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence that disciplinary steps were taken against officials who had incurred irregular expenditure as required by Section 38 of PFMA. This was because some investigation into irregular expenditure were not performed, I close quote. This note from AG should concern you, Honorable MEC, and you constantly maintained that you will fight mismanagement of funds in your department, and we hope you will do so. EPWP is without a doubt one of the most important programs that need to be supported as we see increasing unemployment in South Africa, and more especially in KwaZulu-Natal. It might be temporary jobs, but it helps many families to have something on the table, and more importantly, most needed work experience that young graduates require. We understand that during the period of 2021-2022, the department failed to meet its targets due to COVID-19 pandemic and national lockdown. We will appreciate MEC if your department prioritizes training young people with necessary skills and training that are on demand and that can help them to be independent business owners. That you can see them MEC after even working from EPWP coming back as contractors, as you also said, you want to empower those who have been previously disadvantaged. We need a system on MEC or database of all EPWP beneficiaries and keep track of progress in order to see how this program has helped beneficiaries to advance with their careers. The department MEC need to ensure that the transfer of all remaining 293 properties are finalized. We note that only one transfer out of 5 municipalities was finalized and hope the remaining will be finalized. The department failed to assess all 200 state-owned facilities that it planned to assess in 2021-2022 financial year. We hope this time around the department will focus on this issue, as it's important to ensure that the state-owned facilities are in good condition and do not pose danger to our citizens. There are constant delays when acquiring a service provider for this function. The department underspent its 2019-2020 budget by 34 million, mainly in respect to the condition assessment as a result of delays in appointment of a service provider. As such, no condition assessment were conducted of schools in 2019-2020. The process of acquiring professional services was only finalized in August 2021, and there were even appeals that caused delays. It is, however, concerning that the Public Works does not have capacity to do assessment internally and have to outsource such services. This should be a special skill or expertise within the department's technical team, Honorable MEC. MEC, today you committed to reduce the use of consultants, and this should be achieved with the next financial period. Again, how can Public Works be an implementer of choice if there is no internal capacity to execute one of its core functions, thus delaying other department infrastructures, and worst case scenario, having government buildings in use when they pose risk in human life? With the current flood, how does the MEC intend to expedite this process? I hope MEC will also address on that issue. Quoting from the Green Book, the department's baseline increased significantly in 2023 due to additional funds received for property rates, although the amount received does not fully cover the pressure in this regard. The department undertook to position within within programs and economic classification, I close quote. As a DA, we welcome this extra allocation, but with concern, there is a shortfall. Honorable Chairperson, the debt public works owes to municipalities is not a new issue, but seems to be a problem we continue to face, and truly injustice to municipalities that hardly have cash flow to operate on for its day-to-day activities. We hope MEC will also address the issue of property rates. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mnango. The next speaker for 6 minutes from the EFF, Honorable NL Mpigaipeli. Mpigaipeli, my apologies. Mpigaipeli. Honorable Mnango, don't disturb the speakers, please.
Ngibingelele sihlalo amalunga ahloniphekile shamthetho saKwaZulu-Natal. Njenge-Economic Freedom Fighters KwaZulu-Natal sizoqala ngokubonga umphathiswa walomnyango umhlonishwa uSibiya okhombise ukuzinikela kakhulu kusukela uqalile lomshophi wezikhukhula kulesifundazwe kusukela ngoMasingana kuze kube yimanje. Njengoba besimbone engumabizo asabele kuzo zonke izinkalo zakulesifundazwe, sithi nje mhlonishwa Sotobe asikufeli mona, kepha into enhle iyanqonywa.
Please do not disturb the speaker. Continue, honorable members.
Phezu kokuba sesikuchilo konke lokhu, siyathemba mhlonishwa Sotobe ukuthi wena nomnyango wakho anithengi nje amehlo ethu nawamakhamera abezindaba, epha kuzokwenzeka njengamagama enkehli kulezo zindawo enithe nafika nathembisa khona usizo. Uma sibuka isabelo zimali sonyaka ka-2022-23 esingu-1.9 billion, kuyasijabulisa ukuthi cishe u-55% waso uzogxila ekulungiseni amabhilidi phecelezi property management. Lapho esibala khona ukulungiswa kwengqalasizinda nokuthi lapho abakhahlanyezwe izikhukhula batholelwe umhlaba lapho bezokwakhelwa khona ngokuphuthuma osekufana njengeBhayibheli lethu njenge-EFF, njengoba sikutsho ngaphandle kokwesaba ukuthi abantu ababuyiselwe umhlaba ngaphandle kwesinxephezelo. Umbuzo esinawo ukuthi njengokuba umhlaba omningi wakuleli lizwe usangena ngaphansi kongxewankulu njengoba ulinganiselwa ku-72% ongena ngaphansi kwabo bese kuthi u-4% ungene ngaphansi kwabohlanga, lokhu nizokwenza kanjani ngokuphuthuma? Manje okubalekile ukubona izenzo kunokulalela kakhulu izethembiso. Okubalekile ukuba umnyango uqhamuke namagama ezindawo osuzihlolile njengalezo lapho kuzokwakhiwa khona lezindlu kunokuba usitshene ngomhlaba ozonikelelwa abakhahlanyezwe izikhukhula okungaze kushaye unyaka ozayo kusakhulunywa into eyodwa. Lo mnyango uphinde wakhipha isamba sika-45 million ophuthumayo esizobhekelela ukuthengwa kwezimoto ezingu-80 zokuthuthwa kwamanzi ezindaweni ezikhungathekile esingabala kuzona eThekwini, oGwini, oThukela naseLembeni. Kusona lesabelo zimali umnyango uzolungisa amabhilidi ahulumeni alimele ngenxa yezikhukhula uphinde usebenzisane nomnyango wezokuthutha ukwakha kabusha amabhuloho. Njenge-EFF sithi thina asihambisani nokusetshenziswa kwale mali uma kuzophinda kuqashwe onjiniyela bangaphandle njengoba kunengxenye enkulu yesabelo zimali ezokhokhela abasebenzi bangaphandle phecelezi ama-consultants. Sithi akuqashwe abasebenzi abanesipiliyoni bangaphakathi ukuze umnyango ungazitholi usikhipha imali engaphezulu kwaleyo ebekiwe. Njengoba kwenye yezinkulumo abenayo umphathiswa nabanye ongqongqoshe lapho ebekhala khona ngohlelo lokukhangiswa kwamathenda kahulumeni alifanise nokuthi luyabambezela njengokuba kuthatha isikhathi ngaphambi kokuba abantu baqalise umsebenzi. Umbuzo esinawo ukuthi ibaphi labo bhululu bakhe asebewucuthele lo msebenzi wokuthutha amanzi kulezi moto ezingu-8 ezizothutha amanzi. Asihambisani nohlelo lwamathenda kepha sithi yonke into mayenzeke ngendlela kungasetshenziswa isimo esiphuthumayo ukuqashisa inkohlakalo. Njenge-EFF siyasamukela lesabelo zimali yize sikholelwa ukuthi umnyango wezezimali treasurer ubusungafaka imali enkulu kunalena ukuze kulungiswe ingqalasizinda ibe sesimeni sokwazi ukubhekana nezinhlekelele ezifuze lezi zikhukhula zakamuva. Sitheke uma usuqalile umsebenzi wokulungisa konke makuvele obala kucace bha okubalwa namagama ezinkampani ezizonikezwa umsebenzi. Ngiyabonga sihlalo.
Thank you, Honorable Baipeli. Our next speaker is from the National Freedom Party. We do have an apology from Honorable CM Shinga. We will then move on to our next speaker from the African National Congress, which is Honorable J.S. Numalo, for 9 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson Ndosi. Angisho ukuthi Honorable Baipeli bengithi le mpisi iphelile ngoba manje besakhuluma kahle kodwa manje ngizwa esekhuluma ngobhululu kanti asinabo obhululu la. Asikwazi ke lokho. Kodwa ke futhi ukukhumbuza umhlonishwa uHonorable Baipeli iloko ukuthi lo mbala kawugqokile umbala wamakomanisi. Siyacela nje ukuthi umbala yethi ibuye ngoba imele igazi labasebenzi not only eNingizimu Afrika kodwa emhlabeni jikelele. Honorable Chairperson Ndosi, Honorable Premier, Honorable members of the Executive Council, Honorable members of the Provincial Legislature, Ozagwetu, distinguished guests, officials, ladies and gentlemen, ngicela ukunibingelela ekseni. Sanibonani nonke. Let me extend my greetings on behalf of the glorious movement, the African National Congress, that has given us the opportunity to speak and represent it in this august house. Maybe Sihlalo Hloniphekile, we must begin our input with a brief background. The undisputable fact of history is that the negative impact of many years of apartheid and colonialism remain alive even after 27 years of what democratic dispensation, especially the public infrastructure wherein the exclusively white minority government ensured that the building of public infrastructure was racialized in that the so-called white areas had a better public infrastructure compared to our townships and our rural areas where Black people were staying. And as such, Honorable Chairperson, since 1994, the ANC-led government has done a lot to address this apartheid spatial planning with an aim of building human settlements which is integrated, non-racial, non-sexist, and democratic. La kuhlaliswa khona abantu bakithi. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chairperson, it is for this above reason that this input will focus on infrastructure development as presented by Honorable MEC Usotobe, Isambane, Esambo Mgodi Sangawulala. In the Public Works Budget Vote 14, we must, however, indicate that the recent floods experienced in KwaZulu-Natal province were very unfortunate in that they have reversed some of the gains scored by the ANC-led government in the arena of public infrastructure development. We do understand that government will have to reprioritize some of the projects as part of addressing this catastrophe which devastated many communities and families in the province of KwaZulu-Natal and in eThekwini Metro in particular. We therefore, Honorable Chairperson, would like to take this opportunity to also to join millions of our people to extend our heartfelt, deepest condolences to all families who have lost their loved ones, and may their souls rest in peace. Honorable Chairperson, we welcome the budget vote as presented by Honorable MEC Sotobe, and would like to agree that indeed the Department of Public Works, as an implementer of choice, did outline a very clear plan on infrastructure revolution for our province. It is indeed encouraging that the Department of Public Works has scored some major victories in this regard. And as such, we congratulate the ANC-led government in general and the Public Works Department in particular for completing 390 capital projects across all districts at a value of 1.1 billion. It's a huge achievement. Honourable Speaker, we supported the decision by the department to address the issue of load shedding for the purposes of ensuring that enough energy is provided through commissioning of 173 out of 207 generators in different public health institutions, including the Road Traffic Inspectorate of the Department of Transport. We must also congratulate the Department of Public Works for maintaining their status of being the implementer of choice, but also for completing the following project for the Department of Education. Amanyeke MEC Washilo, for instance, drought electrification, storm damage, water and sanitation, etc. The ANC government achievements Slalo Ohloniphekile confirms that the ANC indeed committed to utilizing infrastructure development to address poverty, unemployment, and inequality, as well as know that in the process, jobs are being created and some people are benefiting uku-addressa inhlupheko yabantu bakithi abangasebenzi. Let's also applaud the ANC-led department for constructing the following facilities, as it has been mentioned by the Honorable MEC. For instance, the new schools at Dandi Junior and Gwamia School, the school refurbished 237 clinics, hospitals, and buildings, facilities for our government, which are the state-of-the-art facilities. Siyabonga futhi asiphezi sihlalo that the ANC-led department has spent about 104 million rand in addressing the maintenance of 479 government facilities in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And the following projects are about to be completed and handed over, like, for instance, Ukolo Primary School, which is a state-of-the-art school, esakhiwayo esisibonile kade senze oversight lapha eKokstad. And also Mzimkhulu Service Office Center, Dandi Laundry, King Edward Upgrade Nursery, Madateni Upgrade, Makot, for instance, an admin block, pharmacy at Catherine Booth Hospital, and other, for instance, facilities. Konke lokhu kumsebenzi omuhle esibona wenziwa ilomnyango oholwa uSotobe. Le misebenzi eyenziwa umnyango ihlanganisa uku-upgradewa kweNyokeni Precinct kanjalo neLembe among others. Lastly, Chairperson, angithathe leli thuba lokuthi sisho njenge-African National Congress ukuthi siyahambisana nesinqumo se-ANC sokuthi kwakhiwe isishayamithetho esisha noma isakhiwo esisha sikahulumeni, the new government provincial precinct, lapho wonke amahhovisi kahulumeni ezoba khona futhi lokhu kuzokwenza ukuthi izinhlelo zikahulumeni zididiyelwe ndawonye ukuqinisekisa ukuthi izinsiza zifinyelela kalula kubona bonke abantu bakithi bakwaZulu-Natal. And lastly, Chairperson, we as the ANC we support the budget as presented by the MEC. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you, Honorable Numalo. Our next speaker is from the MF, where we have received an apology from Honorable Taku Rajbansi. After that, we had meant to have a speaker from the ATM, Honorable M.E. Pagati. We've also received an apology from Honorable Pagati. So the next speaker will be from ACDP, Honorable S.E. Manele, for 2 minutes.
Madam Chair, greeting you and all protocol observed. As ACDP, we acknowledge and welcome the budget allocated to the department. We take cognizance that through the program EPW, jobs are created, which is much needed since the huge unemployment rate is a major concern in our province. We also pleading to the department if they can come with a certain method of looking precisely to those people who are the dropouts of grade 12. They formulate a special class of poverty with their children. And if we don't come up with something about them, they will born, live, and die poor. We are so pleased about these 6 schools which is going to benefit from this program. And as a member of the portfolio committee, I know what kind of schools are these. Even bengathiwa sisodwa ngonyaka, bengathi uNkulunkulu mkhulu ngendlela ezinhle ngayo nangendlela eyithembisa ngayo. So we are so happy ngalokho okwenziwayo. We know ukuthi public works uface unendaba enkulu yokubhekana nenhlekelele kade sinayo, ikole kulungisa ikole nani, but our hope is to you public works that will be able to take us back to the place where we belong. With these few words, keep up sort of your umsebenzi wakho muhle.
Thank you, Honorable Manele. Our next speaker from the IFP is Honorable MJ Mazibugo for 5 minutes. I think he is also on the virtual platform. Honorable Mazibugo, you have muted. Please unmute yourself.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, and Honorable
Thank you.
members. On behalf of Inkatha Freedom Party, I stand to contribute to today's debate with a very heavy heart, just like the Honorable MEC for Public Works, Mr. Ntutuko Sibiya. Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, what causes a heavy heart is that the Department of Public Works, just like all departments, entities, and the legislature, finds itself having to grapple with crippling budget cuts which is one of the mechanisms that the national government ordered the country to embark on. As the IFP, we totally support all measures to curb unnecessary expenses. However, our support of such measures does not blind us to the fact that we are in this mess because of a government that wasted billions of taxpayers' money on blind cadre deployment, fraud, corruption, and state capture, all of which have ruined South Africa, including KwaZulu-Natal and the country is almost bankrupt. But despite this, political short-sightedness caused by blind adherence to the anti-Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi agenda still propels this provincial government through this department to persist to spend billions of taxpayers' money in building what is called a parliamentary precinct in this city. They persist while they know very well that there are empty parliamentary and government offices which are lying fallow in Ulundi. They are still determined, that is this government, to fulfill the political blunder of 2002 when politics gone mad was demonstrated in the DA-ANC Unholy Alliance, which uprooted the legislature and government from Ulundi to this Pietermaritzburg. They hoodwinked our people into believing that there was space here in Pietermaritzburg for the whole government and the legislature. Instead, from about 2003, this government has been paying billions of rands of taxpayers' money in renting office spaces almost all over this province. We call this sheer wastefulness. The money wasted in this manner should have instead been rescuing the destitute and the poor of our province. What is a political scandal is that since then, the billions of rands that the government has wasted to rent properties across KwaZulu-Natal have not benefited the poorest of all, who are Africans, as well as colored South Africans. Statistics from the Department of Works show that there are 184 lease agreements. 82 of these contracts belong to Indian South Africans and yield 400 million rand. 41 belong to white South Africans. They yield 115 million. Only 15 belong to Africans, and they yield only 40 million. The multiracial partners are collecting 79 million rand. Coloureds only have one contract. Regarding government offices in Pietermaritzburg, the investigation has revealed that only about 5 people and companies were dominating this space.
Honorable Nzima, the Chief Whip.
Somloma, Rule 57A. Uthi umhlonishwa uwantshontshile namaflegi legislature njenge ngawafakile nje.
Hayi. Honorable Nzima. Chief Whip.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for your wisdom. And when she was asked about this matter, the Honorable MEC of Public Works, the then Honorable MEC of Public Works and Human Settlements, the Honorable Nelson Konyeni, responded thus, and I quote, "The crisis started mainly in 2002 when the KwaZulu government and the legislature decided to make the provincial capital the city of Pietermaritzburg. She calls it a crisis." An end quote. The minister continued, "It is a disgrace that in 25 years of democracy, there has been no change in the industry. We are not discriminating, but we must acknowledge the fact that Indians and whites are the beneficiaries, end quote.
Thank
I
you,
agree
Nzima. Your time is up.
Yes, no more ngoba nakho uzinduku ngene.
The next speaker is from the African National Congress, Honorable S.A. Duma.
Thank you
10
so
minutes.
much, Honorable Chairperson, for affording us this opportunity. Greetings to the Honorable MEC who has just presented the beautiful and progressive budget. We face neither east nor west, we face forward. We just agree with Honorable Sotobe. These were the words of the African giant Kwame Nkrumah made this statement when he was articulating his belief system, which he described as the ideology of a new Africa, independent and absolutely free from imperialism, organized on a continental scale, founded upon the conception of one and united Africa, drawing its strength from modern science and technology and from the traditional African belief that the free development of each is the condition of the free development of all. And I close quote. Honorable Chairperson, for affording us this opportunity, it means that the general feeling of the House, we all agree on the sentiment of these departments. I'm not sure whether, Honorable MEC, you noted almost all the members echo your sentiment that this 1.9 billion is going to be utilized, but we also agree on the sentiment that at least more resources are required. I don't know how would you characterize, it was only one member and who just came before we took the platform, who was negative today. I'm not sure whether it was just you could characterize as the marginal error, or when you are doing the research, there is this thing called a confused molecule if you are doing an experiment, because it was only Honorable Mazibuko. In fact, Honorable Sotobe, just note that we appraise your leadership, in particular the role that has been played by our leader, the Chairperson, Honorable Fraser, because this committee, there is so much cordiality amongst us. We are working as a core because of your two characters. Just know that from now onwards, ensure that you maintain that hegemony and the decorum. So, Honorable Dlaba, thank you for the job well done of knitting this thing. In fact, because we want to tell the truth, not the lies, like Amilcar Cabral, even Honorable Mazibuko is always productive in our engagement. Unfortunately, there is a media today. He must impress. Remember, they are contesting a space of this beautiful precinct. They are worried. They want to add the antithesis of taking this legislature back to Olundi. For me, it would be abnormal that you are still thinking of Lundi in the 2022, the 21st century, but they are still stuck there somewhere. Honorable Chairperson, the Public Works public vote has brought hope to millions of indigenous people of this province who, because of colonialism and apartheid system, remained excluded from accessing economic opportunities. The focus on repurposing the department to be a catalytic and entrepreneurship, redistribution of wealth and transformation for the property sector is a breath of fresh air. This is in line with Nkrumah's teaching, Honorable Sotobe, of traditional African belief that the free development of each is the condition for the free development for all. We welcome plans to unlock the value of government properties and the land for the use by the ordinary members of society to drive their own development at the center of all. This is the radical economic transformation, which we must not be shy about it at all material times, implementing to the base. The policy of the ANC as the governing party. Historically, property was always viewed as the right in South Africa. However, black people were denied access to productive land through the Native Land of 1913 and subsequently discriminatory policy and the legislation. Black people could only own property, nor could they effectively trade on properties. In many cases, land was held in tribal trust, which precluded people living on tribal land from obtaining title deeds. And these days, we've seen a lot of them. There is another complaint, Honorable Sotobe, and it's the collective understanding of our committee, because you lead two departments. It seems that the sister department, Human Settlements, get more communication PR. And we are complaining about that because we are always on the ground. We are always happy that the MEC is visible, but we must also ensure that we exhaust the same resources when it comes to public works, because you've done a sterling job. Honorable Zwide spoke about Kolo, you also presented about it. It's just a serious legacy project. We've been to Ekombe as the committee and we were so impressed. We've seen a lot of these things. And fortunately and unfortunately, Honorable MEC and your head to HOD, you must understand that you'll contest against time. What you did during COVID shows that there is a depth capacity within the departments. And from now onwards, if the project is a 6-month project or 24 months, it must be finished exactly on time, because we ought to see and envisage from now onwards that you are the implementing agent of choice. You've already spoken about other sister department, and it's something that at a level of strategy, let us be honest, when we have appropriated this 140 billion as a province, the large chunk of infrastructure will be implemented by this department, and something should be done just to consolidate and entice correct environment so that we are all in the same process. Compatriots and honorable members, the ANC has demonstrated through the department that the state resources are being used to usher in a new era of prosperity. The newly constructed and renovated government buildings will strengthen service delivery and improve the quality of life. I have no doubt that many honorable members are looking forward to attending handing over ceremonies of these buildings that we've already spoken about it. In particular, we have noted with a great deal of interest the commitment to ensure that the 3 billion project projected to be spent on behalf of provincial government departments do not become just a figure, but it make an impact in the lives of more than 11 million people across all corners. We heard your statistics, Honorable MEC, and we are glad that you are also emphatic. The province of KwaZulu-Natal, around the latest statistic, indicate that Africans are the majority, but in terms of beneficiations, they are always at the back. Why don't you ensure that out of all these 11 districts, create millionaires? Don't be apologetic about that. Just go. Take AC's program is designed to take someone from 1 GB up to 9 GB, and you must just ensure that the accountability that we want. Honorable Chairperson, we do want to hear MECs, and we want to commend MECs for the issue of proper audit outcome and clean and all those things, but no one is just going to consume that. At the end of the day, it is about service delivery. At the end of the day, it is how we have transformed the people's life, in particular the youth of this country. Welcome the fact that the department has a clear focus on ensuring that emerging entrepreneurs such as cooperatives, SMMEs, youth and women-owned business benefit during the rollout of social infrastructure, as we have stated. There are opportunities in the manufacturing sector around the production of steel, bricks, tiles, doors, windows, frames, and so on. These are areas of focus which must be maintained. One of the areas that I must be hastening to mention is that public sector spending on infrastructure, as announced today, will boost investor confidence, and it's part of the generation mission. Honorable MEC Chair, we just have to take that into cognizance. They predicted that the construction industry's growth over the forecast period will be supported by government investment on transport, energy, residential telecommunication and industrial projects. The expert further said the government support towards business and small, medium enterprises was expected to boost business confidence. In view of the prediction of industries expert, we are proud of the fact that few years down the line, the ANC-led government will be counted amongst the significant contributors towards the growth of the construction. We must also highlight, Honorable Chairperson, that MEC with his collective must just ensure we do have professional bodies in the country. We can just mention a few: Association of Construction Project Managers, ACPM, South African Council for Property Valuers Profession, Construction Education Training Authority, South African Quantity Surveyors. Almost all of those professional bodies, we need to ensure that there is a proper transformation. Majority of them are still being led by white males who are so antagonistic towards change. A graduate will come from MUT, DUT, and UKZN, but it will take time for them to have a professional registration process. And unfortunately, if the department like your department is not at the focal area, nothing is going to happen. So let us ensure that we advance all those things. In the recent World Economic Forum discussion, the importance of infrastructure spending as a post-COVID economic recovery method was highlighted. So our support is on those bases that you'll advance that. In conclusion, Honorable Chairperson, it was indicated that technological advance, sustainable and resilient infrastructure can pave the way for an inclusive post-COVID economic recovery, and that government should ensure that investment go to infrastructure projects that are sustainable, technological advance and resilience, and just ensure that we live currently, in fact, we are going to evolve immediately from the fourth industrial revolution to the fifth, because the Asian belt or the Asian tigers are already advanced toward that level. Let us utilize the IT. Let us ensure that we invest more on ICT as a sector to ensure and to boost confidence, but just entice the environment for youth of our province. As I grow towards conclusion, the NC as a governing party is fully aware that the successful delivery of infrastructure program is dependent on the collaboration with professional bodies in the built industry and other associated. I support the budget. Thank you so much, Representative.
Hawu, utheni uDuma bengisaphumile.
Thank you, Honorable
Ngizwa kuthiwa
Duma.
ukhulume ngami. Speak. Chairperson, ngizwa kuthiwa uDuma ukhulume ngami ngisaphumile. Awuthi amnike ithuba aphinde. Sengkhona.
Ziphathe kahle nzima. Ngikuprotectile nzima ku-Chief Whip, ngicela ungiprotecte nami kuhle.
Oh, wow.
We now are moving to the response by the MEC of Human Settlement and Public Works on the Public Works budget debate. Honorable NM Sibiya for 20 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I want to thank all members, literally all of them. It's humbling. It's really humbling. We're humbled as the department, representing all the workers in the department, because without all the workforce that we are having in the department, we wouldn't be able to achieve anything. We want to humbly appreciate all the inputs by the members, everything, literally everything, the support, the criticism, but also the advices. We take them with a good heart, and there are lessons to be learned out of everything that has been said here. We are not taking it for granted. Everything that was said here, we are going to use it to better the work of the department. We are really grateful. I want to start with Honorable Fraser. Thank you, Slalo. We highly appreciate the work that you are doing, leading the Portfolio Committee. Let me just say that the Portfolio Committee, indeed, that we've got a Portfolio Committee of activists. All members of the Portfolio Committee from different political parties, they are literally involved and always give support, give counseling where it's necessary, but also engage us robustly where the need is. So we want to thank you, Chair. It's all because of the leadership you've provided with all the members of the Portfolio Committee. Thank you so much for the support. But also all parties supported the APP of the department. Thank you so much once again. Honorable Nchali, we want to agree with you that the support you are giving us in establishing the property task team, indeed, it's going to make a difference in trying to deal with the issue of property management within the department. Thank you for that. The issue of office accommodation and space, you've said it very well. It has to be transformed. We are working on it tirelessly. I must say it's not easy. It's not easy. It's quite a mammoth task, but we are determined and dedicated to it. It needs all of us. But also I said, and we said, we are going to use even those who are the monopoly within the department to help us to transform the sector. Because if we continue leaving them out, they will continue taking a very difficult posture. We want to use them to help us transform the sector. They must be part of transforming the sector. And then the issue of property rates, we agree with the committee and all the members in this legislature. I think it will help that we engage all the municipalities to follow suit as in a eThekwini municipality. It can help the department quite a great deal in trying to reduce the property rates that we are paying. We are paying about R1 billion on property rates. It's amazing. In other provinces, they are paying around 250 million. So it needs all of us. I heard the issue of the storm. Someone came here and said the storm was caused by the African National Congress. I think the ANC is taken too serious now. They are elevating it to another level, where in fact they are, making the ANC and elevating it to God. ANC is not God, but it is big. It's a giant. It is a giant. It makes things happen, but it didn't create storm. We must be honest. But thank you for elevating ANC to that level. We wouldn't create God the storm affect abantu bakithi. Honorable Nyambose from the IFP, siyabonga mama for the support. We really heard you very well. Thank you so much. We heard you regarding the issue of resources. I think all members are in agreement that we need more money in the department. It's very likely it won't be enough. We are in agreement with you that we need to let all the, let me say, a majority of unused buildings and pieces of land. I want to make an example to the House that we pay for everything that we have. We pay rates for land that is unused, rates for buildings that we are having. We've got prime land that we can lease out for particular years to private sector. We are not going to sell land. We said we want land and we're not going to sell land. We lease it for a particular period of time to private sector to develop it, generate income, investments, and revenue, but also create employment. We are working towards that. We are working towards the issue of properties. We've got quite a number of unused properties. Others are not used fully. We want to engage private sector to invest in these properties. They can open whatever businesses they can use them for, but we can't allow them just to be there and we continue paying rates for nothing. Let them be used. We hire them out to them, lease them out to them for particular years, but we'll continue owning them. Because we can't be a state that can own properties, that can own land. But we must use it effectively to generate income, revenue generation, and but also job creation and investment. Because it can be a huge investment project and program by Public Works. Public Works must be able to be an investment draw card for this province. Can't be about facilitating tenders. I frown on that. I always reject this thing of thinking Public Works is about tenders. We must do more than that. The issue of filling of posts, we are in agreement. Yes, we are moving towards that, Nyambose. You see, there is an issue of, again, that I must raise it here. The committee knows it. We are moving towards dealing with the issue of the audit of all our properties in the entire province. We've got properties almost in every municipality in the province. Some are illegally occupied, whether by South Africans or by foreign nationals, but they are illegally occupied, even by South Africans. We continue to, I must say it here, we have been paying electricity and water for people who are illegally occupying our own buildings as a state. And that is money going to waste. And we can't continue doing it. That's why we're doing audit for all our properties, so that we pay for what we're supposed to be paying. But in areas like Ulundi, that are in charge of our buildings, killing people because they want to be in charge of our buildings. So the state is going to bite. We're not going to fear anyone. We are going to deal with the issue of properties. Yes, the issue of consultants, we are tirelessly working towards reducing consultants. We are not going to continue having the number of consultants that we're having. Every year we are reducing them. Every year, literally, it's a mandate, and we can't be outside the mandate. We are mandated to do that. But even issues of assessment, I agree. Assessment must be done in-house moving forward. We're establishing a team of engineers and other technical skills that we're having, so that when we need to do assessment, we can't be always outsourcing the issue of assessment. It's the work in progress. We are dealing with it as well. Honorable Mwango, thank you so much. We appreciate the support. We appreciate the words of counseling, the ideas that you have given, the criticism that you have given, fairly so. We take that with good spirit, and we are learning out of what we have said as well. We agree with members that all members that they've said that departments must use public works. Honorable Duma went further and asked public works, or it's Honorable Mwango, whether public works does have capacity to implement. Public works does have capacity to implement any project. Honorable Duma has made an example that during COVID-19, we went beyond what people will expect from us. It's because there is capacity. Pay us on time now. That's where you will see our capacity. But if you don't pay us on time, the project will stall. The project will delay because we are unable to pay service providers on time. Service providers need to buy material, need to pay workers, need to do quite a number of things. If we are unable to pay them, if you don't pay us as a sister department, we are not going to pay the service provider. They are not going to continue delivering the project. That's why I'm saying it's going to be like pay as you go now. You pay us, we continue. Don't pay us, we stop. So, but we do have capacity. We can deal with any project. Absolutely. If we need to increase capacity, we'll increase capacity. We also want to make sure that we've got our own capacity within the public works now, where public works must be able to do some small project by itself, and we generate revenue for the department and make money for the department. We can't be a state that can't build anything. We outsource everything. That's why we're building internal capacity. But we are in agreement. Yes, we won't allow any misuse of funds. We won't allow, and we don't have money. There is no money. So there is no money to be misused. We agree. There is no money that must be misused. If we are all crying, if the members are in support that we've got little budget, we can't misuse the little budget that we're having. So we are in agreement with that. Irregular expenditure, yeah, we have taken step, Honorable Mwango. We are rejecting any element of irregular expenditure. We have taken steps. There are cases, there are investigations that are there. There is consequence management implementation that we are continuing with. We are dealing with issues of irregular expenditure. We are not going to allow irregular expenditure to be business as usual. No ways. EPWP, we are in agreement with you, everything. We are going to finalize all transfers. We are going to finalize all transfers. I'm going to talk about this financial year and the last financial year. We spent all our budget. We spent all our budget in the 2021-22 financial year. We spend it in 2020-21. We are spending everything. The issue, Honorable Mpiaipeli from the EFF, thank you so much. The fighters. We thank the fighters. That's how we must fight. We must fight together. We are one government. We are representing all the people. And thank you so much for the support. We appreciate the acknowledgement of the work that we are doing as the ANC has tasked us. We are delivering that mandate, that we can't let down the organization of the people. We need to make sure that we represent it well and deliver services. And thank you that it's noticeable. Siyabonga. No, we are not buying faces, Honorable Mpiaipeli. We are genuine about what we are doing. That's why we do it every day. We don't do it based on occasions, what has happened, or during floods, or during a particular moment. We do it every day. We live it. It's what ANC has tasked us to do, and it's what we are going to be. That's why you've already started seeing people being moved into the temporary shelters. They are already staying and sleeping in temporary shelters just right now. You saw it on TV. It's because we are genuine about it. When the president pronounced, when the premier pronounced, we implement. When these members say, this is the direction we must take, you, as you are part of the members of this house, we take that direction, we implement. It's in the interest of our people. The location of land parcels, we will give you the location of land parcels that we have identified to relocate our people. We'll only relocate people who were residing in areas that are in floodplains, in steep hills and everything. But where we can still build, we will continue building houses in those areas where we have done assessment and we believe our geotech says it's still a usable site, will do that. Abekho bhululu esinabo kumathenda. Mpika ipheli asinabo bhululu asebecothela imali yama-water tank. Asikucacise la endlini. U-Department of Public Works awukanikwa ngisho imali yokwakha anything nokuthenga anything for floods. So we haven't finalized even our reprioritization. There is no money that we have, let alone ukuthi ngeke sithenge ama-water tanker. We are not going to buy or lease any water tank ama-Vaterkan. Asikho lapho kulowo mkhakha. Akuthina akukho umuntu ocuthile. It's not us. Khona nje lo muntu olida umpika ipheli kabi kabi and asithandi kanjalo. Konke kumele kuvele obala. Go to some, you'll see on our website when we advertise tenders, even if you go to human settlements or any, I'm not here for human settlements, but you can go to any, we advertise, they are on our website. Whoever will be awarding tenders, we are going to put them on our website. You're going to know. We're not going to hide anything. Abeko bulula bacuthile. Honorable Ngumalo, thank you very much. We fully agree with you. The floods have devastated this province, devastated our people, and they're going to make it difficult for us to do our work because now we need to reprioritize. There are things that were planned, even by the other departments, not only us, because we implement projects from the departments. The departments need to reprioritize now because they've been affected by floods. Even the plans that were there are going to change slightly. It's no longer going to be like what we planned. There is quite a lot of changes that we are going to have. Applauding the ANC in its decision to use infrastructure development to revive the economy. You said it well. ANC decided so well. Infrastructure will really revive our economy. Implementing of infrastructure, the delivery of infrastructure will help us in reviving the economy. Building of a new government precinct, I want to link it with what Honorable Mazibuko said. Government precinct is one of the most strategic moves by this province, where you are going to have all government offices and entities in one area. When you've got a person coming from Jozini to Pietermaritzburg for a particular department and is told to go to another, he's no longer going to travel and go home without doing anything. He will move from one door to the other and get everything done in one day. It's about efficiency and speed and nothing else. Unless if you don't understand it, it's how the current world is working. It's how things are done in the entire world. You've got a precinct where everything is located. So this is what this ANC government is doing. Maybe I'll cover that one, but I feel let me cover the issue of Ulundi as the legislature. It happened under the hands of IFP, by the way. The IFP that was running government by then. They were the ruling party in this province, the IFP, in 2002 when the decision was taken. But they must learn to accept the decisions that are taken democratically. The DA and the ANC, even if they were together, but it was democracy in motion. IFP must learn to accept democracy. Up until today, they don't want to accept democracy. That decision was democratically taken. But again, the legislature in Ulundi, the old legislature, it's so small. It was just accommodating a small government of KwaZulu, where government of KwaZulu-Natal accommodating everyone. When you are talking about KwaZulu and talking about NPA, everyone is together now. It's a small legislature, that one. By the way, it's not lying fellow unused. There are departments that are using that legislature. It cannot accommodate all of us, I must tell you. It might have because they think legislature is just the house. Legislature is not only the house. They think because it's got so many seats, then it can fit all of us. No, that is not what legislature is about. It's not about the house. And there is no agenda to change the history. You can't change history. History is exactly what we have done in 2002 to move legislature from Ulundi to Pietermaritzburg. That is history. That is history. So it's part of history. We don't have an agenda directed to Prince Umntwana Wapindangen. We respect him as a leader and an elder in his own right. But let me say this, but also as a member of the ANC. But also let me say this, Honorable Mazibuko. there is no agenda that is directed to Prince umntwana waphindangene. The work that is being done is done at the interest of our people of KwaZulu-Natal. Think about Ulundi, Honorable Mazibu. It was never developed up until today. Even when the legislature was there, it's still underdeveloped. Because even those who wanted it to be the capital seat, they never wanted to develop it. So we must also think about what we did as IFP. What you did as IFP. By then, you failed your people that you were leading. You failed all of us. Then we had to take the decision. But Manele, thank you so much. We heard you, and the issue of ukusibonga kwakho nokusincoma will continue working Bamangele. Babu Duma, yes, resources are needed. We are in agreement. The marginal error, yes, Honorable Mazibu was a marginal error. There will always be a marginal error, but he's a good comrade. Let me call him a comrade. He's a good comrade. When they put in the portfolio committee, he does well. Indeed, there is media. Grandstanding is always available for anyone if there is media. Working well with the portfolio committee, we agree with you, Honorable Dum. What makes us to work well is because of the support and the relationship we're having with the portfolio committee, all members. It's because of how you counsel us and we subject ourselves to portfolio committee. We respect and subject ourselves to the portfolio committee. We must not be shy when it comes to radical economic transformation. That one is what we are doing and implementing. Radical economic transformation is at the center of our agenda. Just the last 2 minutes, Chair, until Messi, radical economic transformation is at the center. We continue implementing it.
No, Messi.
No, Messi.
No, Messi.
Yes, Honorable Chair, thank you so much. I want to thank the staff that is in the office of the MEC. They've done so well. They've made sure that our work is easy, but also thank everyone as I rush to the graduation of my firstborn today. Thank you so much, members. Thank you to the guests at the top. Thank you.
If looks can kill you, I'll be dead by the looks of my friend Elma. Honorable members, we have come to the end of our debate. Thank you, honorable members, for granting me this chance to chair today. I would like to thank my organization as well for seeing it fit to give me a chance to do so. Thank you to the opposition ngokuziphatha kahle today. I thank you very much, honorable members. Ngiyabonga. I'm giving you an extra minutes for lunch. We finished a bit early, so we can go for lunch and we'll resume at 12:45. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Wena kangoza mniswe mvula.
Baphila nzima.
Ngiyaphila njani wena?
Siqhele kakhulu.
12:45, honorable members.
Hayi awuphinde utheni? Akumele phandle waphinde.